Ireland's neutrality is back on the agenda. Ireland would not need to hold a referendum to join NATO. That's according to the Taoiseach, who was addressing the European Parliament yesterday. And legally, I don't know if the Taoiseach is right. Some legal expert quoted this morning in the paper suggesting he may not be. But look, the reality is, in practical terms, we probably would have to have a referendum. In political terms, to join NATO. I just find our stance on neutrality, there's something very... I just think it's hypocrisy is at the heart of it. I don't think there's anything virtuous, or I don't think it's a moral stance, our neutrality. I think it's about self-interest or selfish interest, to put it like that. And I'll tell you what, if Putin's Russia was at our doorstep, like it is on the doorstep of Finland or Sweden, we'd be rushing in to NATO. And I do say this, whatever about NATO and joining NATO, I'm unconvinced about the merits of that. I do believe Sean Lemass, he said it 60 years ago, and I think it's still true to this day. If Europe is worth joining, it is worth defending. We're an EU nation. We're happy for them to roll in and bail us out. We're happy for them to be our ally over Brexit, which they did to the absolute limit. But we want nothing to do with defending the EU. I don't think there's anything honourable or noble about that, personally.
And yet 2/3 of the country would completely disagree with you. I mean,
totally.
We hold our military neutrality quite close. I mean, the reality is, you say, look, if we were Sweden or we were Finland, or indeed if we'd been Ukraine and we had Putin knocking on our door, we would join. We would join, I'm sure, in a flash. But we don't. We don't. Is it not one of the things that we want to protect? Because geographically, we are not as at risk as those countries are. And our neutrality has actually served us quite well, has it not, over the last few decades? I mean, what's actually to be gained? Because if there's no real threat.
Because if we're part of Europe, we should be part of Europe. And I don't think we can expect Europe to bail us out on various issues, as they have done. I mean, Europe stood by us in a way that nobody expected to over Brexit. But now we turn around and say to our EU allies, yeah, we're doing that, but we don't want any part of defence. Like, that's your problem, because we're grand where we are. Like, at least let's recognise it for what it is. Blatantly selfish. There's nothing honourable about it. There's nothing moral or virtuous about it.
I don't see how it's selfish. I mean, we're not politically neutral, are we? Like, we've taken a very, very clear stance when it comes to the war in Ukraine. I mean, we have sent aid. We have brought in...
Sent aid, but not guns.
Not guns. We've sent...
Even that Jesuitical, division, I find it all a little nauseating, I have to say.
I'm just not quite sure what would be achieved, why we should make ourselves a military country when the threat hasn't been present.
I think the threat is present in Europe.
Is that not just a bit ideological?
No,
we should be the better boys of Europe again?
I think if we're part of Europe, we should be part of Europe. That's and to go back to Lemass's line, if Europe is worth joining and worth being part of, it's worth defending.